Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Zach. Today we're going to be covering my first virtual real estate wholesale deal. So this is one of the deals that, you don't come by too often. And I'm going to really break the numbers down, everything, how much I got the deal for, how much I sold it to the investor for, what I did wrong, what I would do if I was starting from scratch, and breaking the numbers down and everything like that. So let's get started. So let's just start off with talking about what is real estate wholesaling for the people who don't know what that is. So real estate wholesaling is basically you as the entrepreneur, the solopreneur, going out, finding properties that are distressed or that need work, or just people that want to sell fast, quick for cash, and that have motivation to actually sell at a discount, right? The key component here is we want to get properties at a discount. That's why we target the properties that are distressed and the property owners that are motivated, right? Now, once we do find these people who want to sell their house, that raise their hand saying, hey, I'm in a bad spot, I need some cash, I need this property gone quickly. That's where us as the wholesalers come in and actually solve this problem for them, right? So we actually are the middleman between the actual seller and the investor, right? And between that transaction, we take what's called an assignment fee. So basically the split difference between what the house sold for, the split difference between what we got the house for and what we sell it to the investor for. And this is gonna make so much more sense in a little bit, but that's just a brief overview of what it is. So how did I get started in all of this, right? So how did I make my first 15K deal completely virtually, completely from this chair, this setup, this studio? So I first got into real estate wholesaling by, like, how anybody gets into anything by just researching, right? I was in a position where I needed money, and I was researching, and I found this guy talking about real estate wholesaling. I went into the rabbit hole, and I learned the ins and outs, everything about it. So after I learned literally everything about it, I was reading books, courses, everything. I got to work. So I've closed my first deal in about 2 months from me actually starting wholesaling, which is, that's kind of rare. Most people, the average closed deal is about around 5, 6, 7 months. So I wouldn't say I was lucky. I think I just had a little bit of a head start to the game because of the courses and the books, just the material that I was going through before I actually got started, and in the weeds and in the trenches. And yeah, that's how I initially got started, by just researching everything I possibly could about the subject and about the topic. And how long so the market I got my deal in, right? So you can virtually real estate virtually wholesale you can virtually wholesale real estate in any of the 50 states, right? So the state I'm in, the market I'm in, is Baltimore, Maryland. So literally my backyard. But I did it virtually, right? So I didn't go out and actually talk to anybody. I didn't leave my house. I didn't go talk to the investor. I didn't talk to the seller. And I didn't come face to face with anybody. And I feel like that's one of the aspects that actually drew me in and, like, made me want to do this full time. Um, so yeah, let's talk about a little bit of the numbers, right? So how much did I get the property under contract for from the seller who initially wanted to sell, whatever condition they may have been in, whatever motivation they may have had to initially have me get it under a discount, right? From the actual what it's worth. So I believe I got I got the property under contract for about $135,000, and I sold it to an investor, a fix and flipper, for about $150,000. So I wanted to make $15,000 profit on this deal. So that is initially what I actually sold it for. Looking back now, I don't know where I went wrong, but I could have made way more money on this deal, considering that the person I sold it to, the investor, the fix and flipper who actually put some work in the property, made some renovations, fixed everything up. The investor, I sold it for 150K, turned around, put it back on the market, flipped it, sold it to a retail buyer for about $330,000. That's insane. So he made about $130,000 from that fix and flip from that property, right? Looking back, I don't know where I went wrong. I don't know if my numbers are wrong, but I could have got way more money out of that deal. My first deal, considering the property was about 1,000 square foot total. You know, it was a single family, and the max renovations he could have done was about 50 grand. So all in all, he bought it from me for 150K. Let's say he put 50K in maximum. That's 200K. Flipped it for $330,000. That's 100,000, 100, at least $130,000 profit. I'm not complaining though. I got my 15,000. And he got his money, right? Considering the work that I went through, I feel like that's a solid first deal for me. Um, Considering most deals are about $10,000 average. I was just going by the industry average of what I could have gotten for it. Looking back, that might have been a mistake. Um, Considering, yeah, the amount of money he made, right? Now, let's get let's get into some of the things that I would have done differently. So let's get into some of the things I would have done differently, right? I would have invested in a dialer as soon as possible, right? Now, what is a dialer? A dialer is basically a software to where you can dial four people at once, right? Instead of hand dialing, calling these sellers one by one, one by one. Hey, do you want to sell your house? No. Hey, do you want to sell your house? No. Hey, do you want to sell? That's so time consuming and just not efficient, right? So I was doing that. I was doing that for about a good, I believe, 3 weeks until I was like, hey man, this is this is not working. I need to invest in a dialer. I need to beef up my marketing, right? And yeah, so I invested in I would have invested in a dialer right off the gate, right? Right off the gate, would have invested in a dialer, just to get through the nose, right? Just to get through nose faster, right? Because that's what we're doing at the end of the day, right? We're just volume pushing. We're trying to reach. We're trying to reach as much sellers, as much motivated sellers, as much people who want to sell their house, who have a problem, or who need who need cash fast, who want to sell their home fast. We want to reach these people as quickly and as efficiently as possible, right? And that's where we want to have the dialer, right? That's number one. What I would have done, I would have got the dialer. That's number one. That's the number one thing I would have done, is get the dialer. Number two, I would have invested in a CRM, right? What is a CRM, right? A CRM is basically where you have a database. You can input all your leads, all the people who raise their hands saying, hey, I'm interested in selling my house, just to keep yourself organized and to actually follow up with the people who actually say they're interested, right? Because if you don't follow up with people who say they're interested, what you're gonna have is if you don't follow up with people who are interested, you're not gonna close the deal. You're not gonna make any money, right? Because the money is actually in the follow up. So I was just going off of just the regular spreadsheet. Just, it was a mess. I didn't have a CRM. I didn't have anything like that. I would have invested in a CRM ASAP. Number two, I would have tracked my metrics and my numbers. Now, what is this? I would have tracked exactly how much money I sorry, I would have tracked exactly how much calls I needed to make before I gotten a deal, right? Because I was just calling without a care in the world, just waiting for that person to give me that one yes. And what I didn't realize was I didn't have a system to where I could actually look back to and say, hey, the reason that I'm not successful is because these numbers are low. I'm not hitting my KPIs, my key performance indicators with these numbers. I'm not calling enough people. I'm not having enough people pick up the phone. I might be in the wrong market, right? That's why having that metrics of, okay, I need to make this much amount of calls. This amount of people need to answer. This amount of people should be converted into a lead. I talk to this amount of people. If I talk to this amount of people, this amount should be converted into a lead and say, hey, I want to sell my house, right? So I didn't know any of that. I didn't have my numbers. I didn't have any of that. So tracking my numbers, that's another thing I would have done. And I would have just stayed consistent, you know. If I would have known how much volume I needed and how much people I need to call, then the only thing that's separating me from where I wanted to get was consistency and just volume, right? Because the person who stays consistent the most and the person who dials the most numbers, the person who talks to the most amount of people, that's the person who's going to get the most amount of deals, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a people's business, right? You know, we rely on sellers, people, to give us, you know, their house at a discount and flip it to an investor or a fix and flipper or somebody who wants to do a hold or a rental or whatever. So yeah, understanding that volume beats luck every time at the end of the day. So yeah, those are some of the things I would have done different. How I got my first deal, and how I just eventually got started in this game, you know. And if you're also in this game, just keep going, you know, because you never know. It only takes one yes. That's what I always kept in my mind when I was making those dials. It only takes one yes, one person to say, yes, I am interested. And then the ball starts rolling, you know, the ball starts rolling, you know, and then that's when we get another person, yes, another person, yes. And it just compounds. It's like a flywheel effect, you know? And yeah, I just want to end this off by saying, keep going. You're going to get that deal, and stay safe, guys. Love y'all.